You guys ever woken up in a cold sweat, feeling like somebody was watching over you at night? Well, if you have, then this is the right podcast for you. Welcome to The Beard and the Babe.
That was so overdramatic.
Well, how else are you supposed to do it? You gotta grab the listener's attention from the get-go.
Okay. That was really overdramatic.
Yeah, but they got the picture.
Anyways. So
I'm the Beard.
And I'm the Babe.
And welcome to our podcast.
This is the first episode. And I know I'm a little nervous. I don't think you're nervous at all.
No, because I'm pretty sure these listeners have heard this sultry voice on a podcast before.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on a couple podcasts, but we're not going to talk about this.
That's fair. So what we got in store for you guys tonight is a place in Ohio. I believe it's Trinway, Ohio.
Trinway, yeah.
Called Prospect Place Mansion. So
it's a really pretty place.
It is.
To be fair. Like,
it's gorgeous.
The land of it, I feel like at some point, like, I don't want to say plantation because of the Underground Railroad that was stationed there. But, like, it gives you, like, a plantation vibe. I feel like it's just because of, like, the time that it was built.
The period of the structure alone kind of gives you that feeling.
Yeah.
I can understand
Absolutely.
that. So to let you guys know a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing, talking about Prospect Place this evening. We both have been interested in paranormal kind of activity going on. I've been interested in it since I was about, 15, 16 years old. Probably a little bit before that, but I didn't really understand when I was younger. I would consider myself more of a skeptic. I do believe there's things that happen that can't be explained. I've seen things happen. I've been on ghost hunts, if you will. I've experienced some things, and it started to kind of shape my idea of the afterlife and what goes on, and the whole paranormal experiences that I've come to read about, experience, witness, talk about. I watch the TV shows.
And by no means, we're not, like, paranormal investigators or, like, we're not Ed and Lorraine Warren at all. Like, let's just throw that out there first off. Like, we're not professionals. This is just, like, more so a hobby for us than anything. It's not our profession. No,
it's just something that we're interested in doing together.
Right.
We watch scary movies. We talk about some of the shows that we watch. And we figured we have good topics. Why not
exactly
talk about it?
See, like, for me, it's kind of like what you said, like, paranormal experiences that I've had, like, my first one when I was 2. Of course, I don't remember it, but I do know, like, all the shit that my mom has told me about it. And then, like, whenever I was a teenager, there was a paranormal experience that had happened in our house. And ever since then, it was like, okay, like, we're gonna go ghost hunting. So, like, here in Pittsburgh, we used to have, like, Mayview, which was, like, what was it, like a loony bin type of thing? Like, I feel bad for saying that, but it was like
a mental institution.
And then we had Morganza Mansion in South Point, which they ripped both of them down, but we used to go there whenever I was a teenager, and we used to try and see, like, what we could find there. I mean, we didn't have, like, any of the equipment that, you know, like Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters has or anything like that, because we just saw that if we can see stuff, then we can see stuff. If not, okay. Like,
well, yeah.
But, I mean, I've been into this stuff for quite a while, too.
I mean, that's like the town that I grew up in. Small town. You blink while you drive past it, you'll miss it.
Yeah.
But it's an old coal mining town, old slate dump town. And up behind my house in the woods back there is a slate dump. And all the houses that were built here were built for the workers. And even if you read on the history of the town, like...
Isn't that why... Didn't you tell me that that's why, like, a lot of them are duplexes because of the workers, like, living here?
Unless it's been renovated, every house is at least a duplex.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be able to fit as many families as they could in such a small town. Because it's not a big town.
No, it's not.
I said, you blink, you miss it.
If you guys could see where, like... this little town is, like, the houses are damn near touching each other.
Yeah, there's not a lot of yard space, but what we do have is the woods behind the house,
which is spooky.
Is spooky. But no, I mean, I've had experiences.
You just had to put that in here somewhere, didn't you?
I did. It had to.
Jesus.
It had to come in. I had experiences growing up, just in my childhood home. Like, there were things that would move that I couldn't explain, or electronics without batteries turning on.
Yeah.
Like, just things that I didn't understand.
Well, it's like whenever I was a kid, my first paranormal experience, my mom, she thought that I was, like, nuts or something when I was 2, because I would sit on the steps and I would just laugh my ass off for no reason. She thought, like, there was something mentally wrong with me. I mean, there is, but... But when she took the Polaroid picture, there was a dog sitting on the side of me, and his owner was sitting above me on the steps. And when she took the Polaroid, she saw the German Shepherd and the man, and then the Polaroid went missing. She put it on the fireplace, it went missing. Tools would go missing, all kinds of shit. And then we finally went over to, it's over by the railroad tracks.
Okay.
Over by Alexion's. And when my mom went over there, she realized, like, okay, maybe this guy may have been a worker. So she started asking the people over there questions, and they said that, like, the man and the dog both got killed on the railroad tracks, and that's where they lived.
Oh, shit,
and
so the dog wasn't even there.
The dog was there. Like, the dog didn't leave the owner. It was kind of like, if you've ever seen Joe Dirt, how, like, dude's foot gets stuck in the track. That's what happened, but the dog was so loyal, he didn't leave them, so they both got hit.
Oh, fuck. And I thought you meant the dog was physically with you.
No. It was a ghost.
Shit.
A ghost.
Ooh, a ghost.
But
another obsession of ours. Don't mind us.
Yeah. If you know, you know. They don't know that we know that they know that we know.
Oh, Jesus
That's
Christ.
what it is. No. So... In the Polaroid picture, the dog was on the side of me and the owner was above me. Like I said, the Polaroid went missing. I mean, forks would go missing, knives, spoons, like all the silverware. Tools that we would, like, leave out around Christmas time if we had garland up on our mantle above the fireplace. You could see it move like someone walked past it. Like, all kinds of weird shit would happen. And, like, it was never harmful. Like, it was just a spirit. So, I've been a believer since I was little.
I guess with all of this, it kind of makes sense how you and I met, huh?
Yeah. Should we give a backstory on how we met?
I mean, it's a quick one.
I mean, we both worked at a haunted house, and we like to scare people.
I was there to make people piss their pants.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
I also helped with that a little bit.
You let me throw you around a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was your prop.
I was the clown.
And I was the dead doll with a bullet in my head.
I fucking hate dolls.
Yeah, I know.
We'll get into dolls later in the series.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of really good episodes coming up. And honestly, in the description, we're going to leave the email to get a hold of us and our Facebook and Instagram and all that crap. I guess it's a good thing that we left a link tree. Like, we have a link tree now, so we can just leave the link tree.
Yeah.
But, just to get a hold of us, like, if there's something that happened in your town that, like, we could research or whatever, like, let us know.
Yeah,
like,
even if you want to share, like, a personal experience with us.
Yeah.
And if it's a cool experience, we'll ask you if we can talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll discuss it.
We could even find a way to, like, if we're using Anchor for our podcast, what we could do is, like, send you a link and invite you, and we could, all record together. Like, that would be kind of cool.
Get a segment in with...
Like a guest spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But So the way that we kind of laid everything out is right now, if you listen to the trailer, we explained that we're going to be right now covering paranormal stuff and serial killers.
Yeah.
So we'll be alternating our episodes. Every Sunday you'll hear something paranormal. Every Wednesday drop you'll hear a serial killer. And the way that we're kind of choosing it is we went through and just made lists of stuff. And we put it into a giant wheel. We spin the wheel.
A name-generating wheel.
Whatever comes up, we start researching and we bring it to you guys to let you know what we found. Because a lot of stuff, like, a lot of the places on the list, I might not have actually heard of and know anything about.
Yeah.
And it's cool because, like, we're able to find TV shows that have been there and kind of give a backstory on some stuff so we at least have a start of where we're going.
Yeah.
And then we dig into it on our own. I mean, this is shit that interests us.
Yeah.
I hope if you've made it this far, you're probably like 12 minutes in right now. If you made it this far, I hope it's shit that interests you guys too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of my biggest, like, I feel like I can't really say, like, look up to because I'm almost 30. But, like, one of the people that I love so much is Bailey Sarian. Because she's not afraid to talk about, like, the gruesome details and, like, shit that has happened. Like, a lot of people are just stuck in their own ways and they don't really, like, listen to stuff like this. But the more people that are kind of, like, knowledgeable about it, who knows? Like, if there's somebody listening to this, like, we could actually, like, be starting their career. Like, if they want to be a paranormal investigator, or if they want to, like, when it comes to the serial killer side, they could want to be, like, a fucking manhunter, like, type of thing.
I thought you were... If you want to be a serial killer, please listen to us. We got you.
No, don't become a serial killer because then we'll have to cover you on the show, and then that's just not good.
I will say, if you want to become a paranormal investigator, my one point of advice to you, invest in a good spirit box.
Yeah.
Because the ones that I've seen on some of the shows, they annoy the shit out of me.
And don't, like, you said shows. Like, I'm going to say this now. We do reference a lot of shows. Only because, like, even though we do a bunch of the research, like, online, we do watch some of the paranormal experiences that other people have had, like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Brothers and things like that. So if you guys ever have any questions about that too, like, let us know. We'll let you know what episode it is, because if you go on Google or Wikipedia, some of their shit is all jumbled up.
Yeah, it's all,
which we found out the hard way. So let us know, unless you want to search for it yourself, but we'll get you there. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, I mean, would kind of be stupid not to play off of TV shows that have already covered the places we're trying to talk about.
Absolutely, because then we can, like,
reference the experts.
Yeah, like, not necessarily use their experiences, but, like, we can say, like, oh, like, this really did happen. Like, it wasn't just a bunch of horse shit type of thing.
Yeah. Which, like we said, I found some discrepancies between...
Yeah, a lot of stuff is debunked.
One of the shows that we watched... I'll be honest, the show that we watched on this one that we found a bunch of discrepancies was Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
They talked about a couple things that apparently happened, but in my research, I found newspaper articles that
backed it and said it didn't happen.
That, to the contrary, oh, by the way, and that kind of grinded my gears a little bit, because...
They did that just to piss you off.
They did it just to piss me off, yes. Because there was some shit that was cool, and now I'm like, well, now I got to talk about how you're a douchebag.
Yeah.
To be fair, Zach Baggins. Baggins, I don't... Bilbo.
Anyways, okay, let's get into the actual episode. So we're doing Prospect Place Mansion, and this place is wild.
It is. There's a lot of...
You guys like the history
backstory?
On this? The history just by itself, without the paranormal shit. The history by itself is insane. The way that it all started, like... Okay, so we're going to read from notes for a second, just because... we want to give you guys, like, the actual details of what the fuck this was. So there was this dude.
This dude, Big Lebowski.
This guy's name was George Willison Adams. and he was born in like the 1800s. I actually think it was 1800. He was one of 13 kids, which, you go, girl.
Busy little beavers.
Yeah.
Like, must have been a long-ass winter.
You go, girl, because I could never imagine. So, George grew up in, I don't really know how to say the county that he grew up in, but he grew up in Virginia. We'll just say that. He grew up in Virginia.
You want to give it a stab?
Not really. Fuck queer? I don't know. Fuck queer?
I actually think that's right.
Really?
If you're from that area, please correct us.
Yes, let us know.
Because I'm actually interested now.
It's Fauquier County, and it's in Virginia. So let us know. If you're in Virginia and you know how the fuck to say it, you please let us know. His father was also named George, which I guess that was a thing back then. And his dad, little George's dad died. Big George died. Okay. And don't laugh at me. How can I say that without, the junior was alive, but he wasn't really a
George
junior?
Willis will now be known as
Little George.
Little George or GW.
Well, that's just fucking our president status, isn't it? GW.
Yeah, but now you're mixing a couple presidents, but...
Anyways, so what happened was Big George died. And Little George and his brother, they ended up moving the family out of Virginia because what is that word that they were? Abolitionist, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they ended up moving, and where they moved to in Ohio, they made their home a station for the Underground Railroad.
What was really nice about it, so you got to think about the time period on this. His little Georgie grew up on a plantation in Virginia. And during this time...
His dad was also an abolitionist.
Yes. But his grandfather owned slaves.
Right.
So what had happened was once his father died, they decided they were going to sell off all of the slaves, like free the slaves, and they moved everybody...
never sold them. They freed them completely.
They moved everybody up to... they moved the whole family up to Ohio.
Yeah.
Because, again, if you think about the time period, we're talking about early to mid-1800s, this was prime Civil War area.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about the North versus the South, free state versus slave state, Ohio was a free state, but what had happened was because the Confederacy and the Union within the government couldn't come to an agreement on how to handle things, they came out with, I think it was the Free Slave Act, or the Freedom Act.
Like fugitive. I don't remember.
I can look it up, but I think it's the
Fugitive Slave Act.
Fugitive Slave Act.
Yeah.
There it is. Basically, the free states can be free and not be forced into slave trade, but they cannot assist with runaway slaves. Right. Otherwise, they can be held responsible. And it created this whole line of work and kind of what I would imagine would be the start of bounty hunting. Which
leads us
we'll
to
talk
our next
about.
point.
Yeah, we'll talk about later in the episode. It kind of started that whole occupation where guys would go and travel to try to find these runaway slaves because you were allowed to bring them from the free states down to the slave states and sell them back into slavery.
Which is so sad. Like, that's why the description that is this episode, like, it's so sad. Like, to think about where we are now and, like, where we were, and it wasn't very long ago.
No, I mean, it went all the way up into the 1960s, 1970s shit.
Yeah.
You still see stuff today, but we're not here to discuss that.
No, it's all fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you are a racism supporter, like, you just don't have my respect at all. Like, I can't. But Anyways, so you said something about bounty hunting. And there is something big in this story about bounty hunting. And that story intrigued me a lot because, like, that was one of the biggest acts of kindness, but, like, I feel like they didn't do it in the correct way.
It's kind of a fucked up story, but you're right.
Yeah.
So, to really understand the whole scenario, you gotta understand Little Georgie. So
Little Georgie was awesome, by the way. He was also friends with, like, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, he had Abraham Lincoln's ear.
He was a baller for back then.
Yeah, because what happened was once he moved to Ohio, he and his brother started a flour mill, and after they made so much money through the flour mill, they started developing the infrastructure within their town in Ohio.
Yeah.
They were building canals, building roadways, building bridges.
George was a good dude. Like, he did a suspension bridge?
Mm-hmm.
He did, of course, like, the best thing that he did, I feel like, was stationed at Prospect Place for the Underground Railroad. But he was also, he was like a president of the Indiana and Steubenville Railroad.
Yeah.
So, like,
he started a lot. He was actually
big status back then.
Well, I mean, that's what you get when you're the wealthiest man in Ohio.
Yeah.
So he was able to turn his wealth and build this huge mansion, 29 room at the time. It was the first house.
Indoor plumbing.
That was the big thing. The first house with indoor plumbing.
That was like, if you don't marry this man type of thing, like, your mom and dad were going to disown you because you disrespected them. Like, indoor plumbing, like, we take it for granted, but, like, that place was the place to be.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
for sure.
You didn't have to go shit in the woods.
Well, see, through the research that we found, this was a big thing, but it was actually the second time that they did it.
Yeah, because the first time, so Little Georgie, after he got all grown up and became baller status,
Georgie Porgy Puddin' Pie.
Yeah. So after he became an adult, he built this place after he started getting, his name out there and getting the money that him and his brother were making, which his brother's name was Edward, by the way. The first time that they built this house, it was like a week before they were about to move in. The house fucking burned to the ground. And there's two legends on this thing. And, of course, we have to bring fucking Christopher Columbus into this shit because Christopher Columbus came to the wrong land and stole the fucking place. And there was a Native American woman
named Satan.
That's
important.
Off.
This bitch was named Satan.
Yeah. And from, doing research on, like, old school Native Americans, they were very into voodoo and witchcraft and black magic and, that kind of stuff. And apparently she came and burned the place down because the place was on top of her people's burial grounds, which is very well, it could possibly be true.
It could.
It could definitely be true because honestly, I mean, you can find fucking remains anywhere. I remember being little and going up behind my grandfather's house and we could actually find, like, arrowheads.
Oh, wow.
And that was in Bridgeville.
Okay.
Like, the other legend, though, is a guy named George Blackburn. He was the bricklayer, and apparently they thought that he had burned the place down, and apparently in his drunken stupor one night he was bragging, like, about burning the place down, but there were actually no records of him ever being, like, put in prison because of it, like, for it being that reason.
Yeah, so the legend behind him is he was a brick mason, and they were, like you said, about a week away from finishing the project.
Yeah.
And he was out in town, getting drunk on whatever they were drinking back then.
Probably like food.
Some mead. Some mead and rum. And he was bragging about burning this place down because he was trying to get more work for himself.
Yeah.
Because he was a known burglar, thief, and apparently, per the legend, it got back to little Georgie. Georgie had him arrested, sentenced, and put in prison.
Yeah.
But being a brick mason, he apparently helped build this prison.
Right.
So he escaped.
Yeah.
And was running free through Ohio until he met his maker by trying to rob some unnamed farmer and getting an axe to the head.
Yeah. But from our research that we did, the way that he passed away, it wasn't because he was beheaded. It was actually from heart disease, and he died in Ohio State Penitentiary.
Dun dun dun.
So, how the turntables. But yeah, so this place, like, I mean, when I tell you guys that there's a lot of history, like, there's a fuck ton of history on this place. And unfortunately, little Georgie, he had a good life, you know, everything that happened. He was married twice, actually. And, of course, he had some kids, but his death date's actually coming up. It's August 31st. He died in 1879. He was 79 years old. And that's, like, when all the crazy shit started happening. Because he had left it to the kids, and I guess, like, the kids left it to the grandkids or whatever. But unfortunately, in, like, the 1950s, they just abandoned it. Like, the house was vacant for 30-something years. And, of course, with all the crazy, weird shit that happens in the 80s, I know some of you guys listening probably remember, or don't want to remember.
Can't remember.
But, like, all the wild shit that happened in the 80s. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're a fan of us, like, you're probably into 80s hair metal and Motley Crue, Bon Jovi. Well, Bon Jovi wasn't really metal. They were, like, more, like, sappy-ass love ballads. But, like, Whitesnake and Cinderella, Megadeth, shit like that. Like, you know about the 80s. So, in the 80s, there were actually satanic cults that would come to Prospect Place. And from a few of the shows that we watch, there was upstairs in the barn area.
Ballroom.
The ballroom, in the ballroom. There is a big patch in the wall, and apparently there were, like, really, like, vile and vulgar things painted. I don't know if it would be, like, painted or, like, spray painted, but they were painted on the wall. And it was a portal to hell.
Yeah.
In actuality, it was to hell. And when this place finally got back to normal, which I don't think it ever really could.
No, but I think now it's, I want to say, great-grandchild.
Yeah, it's
of Georgie.
Yeah. And his name is also George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a family name.
What the hell?
I mean.
But anyways, so now, you know, it's like a museum / like...
educational center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we can do for you guys, like Babe keeps saying here, there is a shit ton of history on it. And we could honestly spend an entire hour just giving you backstory on this place and George's life. What we'll do is we'll actually link the website to the Prospect Place Educational Center that has a bunch of good background information on it that you guys can kind of just skim through if you're interested.
Yeah.
But I just want to make note, like, this dude had a ballroom on the upper floors.
Yeah, they were partying all the way. That was like the first penthouse type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and that fucking, what is it? Cupola.
It's pretty much a
lighthouse.
watchtower. It's like it looks like a lighthouse, but it's a watchtower on top of the house. And it has, like, a really good meaning because since they were a station for the Underground Railroad, anytime that someone would go up in the watchtower part of the house, they would light a lantern and let all of the slaves know it was safe to come. Mm-hmm. And then they had, like, basements and stuff that the slaves could come into, and every room in the basement had a fireplace because if it was winter, they were all able to be kept warm. They had water there. There
was a little well that provided water, and part of the story goes that once the runaway slaves would occupy the basement, the station master, so to speak, would take a broom or something and hit the floorboards above him and let little Georgie know that, hey, we now have guests.
Yeah, the floorboards where his bedroom was. Mm-hmm. So even if it was in the middle of the night, he would know. That way he could help, take food, blankets, whatever they needed downstairs.
But one thing that I found that I did want to actually point out, because it plays into the paranormal side of it too, once we get out of the background, is but the reason why it was left, abandoned, I almost used the word, almost said squandered, but the reason why it was left abandoned in the 50s was so it was left to little Georgie's heirs, and his son-in-law, by the name of William Cox, he married Georgie's daughter, Anna.
Okay.
He ended up, after Georgie's death, he ended up stealing the family money and ran away.
From her, too?
Yeah.
What a dick.
And was never heard from again.
His last name is Cox, because he's a cock.
Now, to kind of segue this into that's why I think it was squandered, because the family had no more money.
Yeah.
All the money that was left to them was gone. They had no money to upkeep it, and over time it just...
And guys, like we said, it's a 29-room house.
A lot of upkeep.
There's a lot of upkeep.
A lot of upkeep. And I mean, you said Georgie was one of 13.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mouths to feed, too.
Yeah.
So, it's
one
just...
of 13, plus then he got married after his first wife had died, who he had kids with. Mm-hmm. He married again and had more kids with her. So,
So Georgie was busy himself.
It was just a freaking tribe at that point. There was just a lot.
So, one of the stories that I read about on the paranormal side, to segue into that, about this William Cox guy, is that one of the spirits that people have witnessed there is believed to be William Cox. Mm-hmm. But because he disappeared and was never seen from again, they don't know how he's kind of tied to this place, because, a lot of times with a spirit in a location, there's something that's keeping them there.
Maybe it's little Georgie.
But, see, what I read, and the theory is that it's the house itself.
Maybe the house is probably pissed off.
The house is holding him there as punishment for letting it get to the point that it did.
For all of eternity.
And also, little Georgie holding him there because he stole the family money. Yeah. And broke his little girl's heart.
Especially because he was a super honest man. Mm-hmm. For fuck's sake, he was friends with Abraham Lincoln.
The most honest man there was.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So, obviously, I don't think Abraham Lincoln would keep bad fucking company as a friend.
No.
And they were, close. They were super close. So I don't think, maybe it is. Maybe it's the house. Maybe it's him. But either way, you're not gonna... fuck my family over type of thing and think you're going to get away with it, because now your bitch ass is going to spend all of eternity in this motherfucking house and know what you did.
For a house to be the one holding it, that's just, I don't know. That's kind of where I hit, is the house really holding him, or is there something else there that's tying him to the house? For instance, we said bounty hunter.
Yeah. So the bounty hunter story is, really interesting. So how... we started rambling, but before we started rambling...
We will do that, guys.
Yeah, you're just going to have to bear with us. I'm sure a lot of you are kind of like us. We do this all completely unedited because, what fun is editing, first off, and secondly, I'm not going to sit here and do it.
No, we also follow a loosely based script.
Yeah.
We have notes. We don't even have a script.
No, nothing is written out completely.
No. Babe and I are just sitting here, talking to each other, letting you guys listen to it.
Yeah. So the bounty hunter story. So what we were talking about earlier is that it was legal for bounty hunters to come to the free states, round up all the slaves, take them back down to the South, and resell them to get them back into the slavery ring, if you will, I guess.
Slave trade.
Slave trade, okay. So there is bits and pieces of the story that is true, and then the rest was practically like a legend.
Yeah, so there's family evidence up to a certain point.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into this story really quick. So a bounty hunter had come to Prospect Place, and he demanded little Georgie to see inside of his property and to give him the slaves that he had, that he was, I guess, harboring, in a sense. And they pretty much had a standoff. Like, in how it is now at the educational place, which is Prospect Place still, they actually have the gun that little Georgie used. It's a Colt.
Yeah, little pistol.
And it's in
not little, but
it's like in a shadow box hanging on the wall. And that is the gun that he used for the standoff. And a lot of the farm hands had come out, and they were, sticking up for their boss, of course. And they were pissed.
Yeah.
They were extremely pissed.
And that's where the bounty hunter, he knows he's outnumbered.
Yeah.
And he shows up with a rifle.
Left. Yeah.
So he decided it wasn't worth it and went away.
Yep.
He yeeted.
Well, because farm hands ended up going out later and found his little camp that he had set up in the woods. They brought him back to the barn, had a mock trial, found he was guilty, and hung him in the barn. So
from the highest rafters.
From the highest rafters, and he fell down right through the hole, and that was it. So that's where a lot of the paranormal stuff comes in as well, because he is like a very evil spirit.
He's the angriest one still there, yeah, for sure.
He's definitely still there. A lot of people have had really, really horrible encounters with this spirit. See, I keep saying spirit, but if he was so freaking evil, I mean, he obviously can't become worse than a spirit. But, I mean,
yeah.
Whatever.
So, some of the stuff that we found out there, I don't remember the name. It wasn't any popular person, but this one investigator, this one woman went there with her daughter, and she was in the barn just taking pictures. And according to other people, the bounty hunter spirit hates cameras and flashes.
It also hates women and any African American that walks in there. Which, of course, being the time, I mean, the spirit's not gonna...
No, yeah.
It's gonna stick to its ways and not be like, oh, okay, slavery is over.
Yeah. It's not gonna know what the hell's happening. Yeah. But, so, the woman's in there taking pictures, and she goes to the other end of the barn and sits down on this bench, and she's looking through her camera. Just to see if she found anything, if there were any orbs or shadows. The normal stuff you would do as a amateur investigator. Yeah. You want to see what you got on the spot. Because, I mean, I don't have an office to go home to check this stuff out. No. So, she's doing it just on the spot, and she starts feeling this burning sensation on her back. And afterwards, she had her daughter look at the top of her back, and there were, like, red scratch marks down the top of her back. Yeah. And it was very, like, prominent marks. It like, if someone scratches you, how you have, like, a little bit of a welty mark on you. Yeah, this was like, deep. That's what it was. It was deep. If it would have been any harder, it would have drawn blood. For sure. Guaranteed. But there's also, like, we referenced Ghost Brothers a little bit earlier. Guys, if you don't know who this group is... They're hilarious. They're on all over Discovery Plus. Yeah. They've got probably 2 or 3 shows out there. You have to watch them. I'm giving them a shout out. I don't know if they'll ever listen to us, but Jawan, Marcus, Dalen, you guys, fucking love you. I need more seasons, guys. Yes, please come back. I need you to pop the trunk a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dalen's about to become a dad, so congratulations if you are listening. But I just need y'all to come pop the trunk a couple more times. Let me get my fix. But, so Dalen, actually from Ghost Brothers, he was up
where this man, the bounty hunter, was supposed to be, was it
strung up,
hanged?
Yeah, he was up in the very top of the barn where he would have dropped from.
Yeah, and when he was up there, he was provoking the spirit, like trying to make shit happen. And Jawan actually told him to turn out his flashlight, and as soon as he did, you could actually see him, like, get pushed, and he said, I just felt like someone pushed me. Yeah. And, it looked like someone was right behind him, like, just pushing him.
And one of the things that they were doing, so he was up in the top with where the guy would have fallen from.
Yeah.
They set up a REM pod. For those of you guys that don't know what a REM pod is, it's this little circular pod that's got lights and an antenna and speakers on it.
Yeah, it looks like a really thick hockey puck.
Yeah. Kind of like the Amazon Echo Dots.
Okay, yeah.
Nowadays, yeah. It looks a little thicker than that. But essentially what it is the antenna will pick up surrounding energy, and that's how the spirit can communicate with you. It lights it up, sets off the alarm, you hear it, you see it. They had one of these set up down at the bottom, and as everything was happening with Dalen up in the top, that REM pod was going off.
Yeah.
So, believe what you will here,
ridiculous too.
But, this is one badass ghost. This is not a Patrick Swayze.
No, absolutely not. This is not Unchained Melody, let's do ceramic bullshit type of thing. Like,
and with what I said earlier or what you said with people being left on, like, being tied to a place.
Yeah.
With William Cox, they don't know what ties him there besides the house itself.
Right, exactly.
One thing that kind of piqued my interest when we were watching the episode of Ghost Brothers was that there's stories out there that the bounty hunter was actually buried on property.
Yeah.
So what Dalen did was he brought a human cadaver dog out.
Which was incredibly fucking smart.
Yeah, smart on two of them. The one thought Cujo was a breed of dog.
Marcus.
So they brought the dog out. Not a Cujo dog, but a yellow lab.
Yeah.
Not even named Cujo.
No. His name was Lachlan, and he was the bestest boy.
So what this dog does is it sniffs around the property, and it's trained to give a specific kind of alert, whether it be like a whimper, a growl, a bark, some sort of marker to let you know that there's a body.
Yeah, there's definitely someone here.
And so the dog is in the barn sniffing around for a good 20 minutes.
And he kept going to the same
And
spot.
he kept going to this back corner. And when you see the back corner, there's actually a hole in the ground that kind of goes under the wall. And is the bounty hunter down there?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Especially because Lachlan, it got, like, if you guys have dogs, of course all dogs bark, really. But this poor little guy, he was actually, it was almost like somebody that he didn't know was, like, coming up on him fast, because he started, like, backing up and growling. Like, and I am a firm believer in animals being able to see things that we cannot.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So.
You see how they act just with, like, weather and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Then, there's things that I've seen dogs do that, why is it just standing there staring into a corner?
Exactly.
Like, at some point, I want to be inside a dog's brain. Like, I want to hear a dog for maybe an hour.
I don't know.
Can't even do more than an hour.
I'd be scared.
But
I would definitely be scared. No, but, like, they're, like, with the bounty hunter, the cadaver dog, what they were using, like, the REM pod, like you'd said, the, like, provoking the spirit and stuff, like, that whole episode could have just been about the barn, and there's not enough time in one episode just to cover the barn.
No, not at all.
But then you can move on to the house and know that the house is not only being haunted by little Georgie himself, but also a little girl that was there, and she was little, like maybe 8 to 12 years old.
Yeah, preteen to...
But she was actually extremely sick, And because of her fever, she was delirious. And there used to be a little, like, balcony right over the top of the front door. And she fell to her death. Her head hit off of the cement and she died.
Yep.
So, once again, referencing Ghost Brothers, when Daylin was upstairs playing with her dolls, and of course they had to be like the super old, antique, creepy Annabelle-style dolls.
The ones that you see and you get the shivers.
Yes.
The thing that goes bump in the night.
Yes. So he's upstairs and he's you know, saying, sweetie, like, I have a doll of yours, like, please come out and play, blah, blah, blah. You know, trying to at least see if something can happen. But he's asking her questions at the same time. And he said, sweetie, is this the door that, you know, you walked out and you hurt yourself? And there was nothing. And then he had asked one question. And that gave me the freaking chills, because then I got so sad. And it was, or did someone push you? And there was a humongous crash in the room next to him. That killed me. Because, I mean, there's already so much going on at this house. If somebody pushed this little girl off the roof,
yeah,
like, fuck you. like, she didn't do anything to you. Like, come on. So, back then, with this stuff, the well downstairs in the basement, they would put ice down there, and for the slaves to actually be able to eat, as the ice melted, it would keep their food cold.
And provide water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, because of the ground being frozen, I mean, this was in the wintertime, because of the ground being frozen, they actually had to keep her down there on the ice, unfortunately, as like a kind of like a temporary morgue.
Well, yeah, you see stuff like that even today.
Yeah.
It's not in the basement of a house.
No, of course
but
not.
But at the mortuaries, they'll if there's a bad storm that rolls through, they'll have to
keep them in the freezer thing. But this little girl's mom was apparently supposed to come down and stay with her every day. That way they knew that the body of the little girl was safe, and the mom ended up with pneumonia and she also died.
Oh, shit.
So the both of them haunt the property, and...
Was that Mary?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think there was ever really a name given. They were related somehow to little Georgie, but they weren't like a wife or a daughter or anything like that. It may have been like a cousin, or, I mean, he did have 12 siblings, so it could have been one of them. But another thing is, with that little girl, there was something that really caught your attention, and it was whenever the doll was out.
Oh, first of all, I was keen to be paying attention, because you'll hear it almost every episode that we do paranormal stuff. I fucking hate dolls. Those creepy little bastards. Those are the things that I wake up with in a cold sweat, feeling like somebody's watching over me. It's usually a fucking doll in the room somewhere.
Normally it's my kid saying, Mommy, I have to pee.
Beard! I gotta pee. If your kids actually woke up and called me Beard, that'd be weird as fuck.
Anyway,
so Dalen's there with the doll, and he puts it down and he walks away, and he says, sweetie, I got your doll here. If you want to play with it, feel free.
Yeah.
And he walks away. Like, he walks to the other side of the hallway, not even paying attention.
Sat down on the steps.
But he left his little camera there, picturing the doll.
Yep.
And I don't know what the fuck it was.
It was a huge orb.
This thing just flies and covers the entire front of the fucking screen.
Like the whole lens of the camera.
When I tell you, I almost shit my pants. I was turtle heading.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine after they watch that footage, like they're
not knowing it's there and
the
just
ones
like
that were there. Well,
yeah.
And that's the weird part, is that when Dalen was sitting on the steps talking and trying to get the little girl's spirit to come,
he heard something.
Well, he was sitting on the steps, and that's when he felt the presence of someone behind him on the steps, like higher up. And that's whenever the orb had flashed right in front. of the camera, which is crazy.
And I mean, what's even crazier is the whole reason Dalen was there in the first place. So I mean, if you guys have seen any paranormal show, doesn't matter if it's Ghost Brothers, Adventures, Hunters, any of them, they always do like a daylight sweep of the house to kind of get like the lay of the land, understand how they're going to set shit up, kind of get the backstory, the history. When Dayla went into the room that was supposedly this little girl's room, he immediately got like this heavy feeling in his chest.
He got dizzy
And had to leave the room. And he ended up, as soon as he left the room, getting sick.
Like physically
in the
vomiting.
Trash can, yeah. Yes. So they figured, why not use him as bait? Smart.
Super smart.
I hate that we thought that at the same time. But yeah, no, smart. Like,
yeah.
And it worked.
If he had a connection with her, then he had a connection with her. Nobody else felt that way, and if they were going to use anybody as the bait, it should have been him, because he, as soon as he walked in, had the connection. But there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much. And I mean, this is all just stuff that we found while maybe doing a little bit of research on the paranormal side, watching some of the TV shows. I feel like every time we reference like the shows, I feel like we're old middle-aged women who have a soap opera.
Yeah.
I can't miss my shows.
Yeah,
but
I gotta be home at 3 p.m. because I can't miss Days of Our Lives.
Back in the day when I was like 13 years old, I gotta be home on Friday night for TGIF. Those were my shows. Boy Meets World, Step by Step, Sabrina, the whole nine.
I don't know. This whole place like reminds me of like whenever you were a kid and like you had to go to the bathroom downstairs and then you would turn the light off and like hurry up and run upstairs so you were safe. Like whatever was down there could like stay at the bottom of the steps, but like you were okay because you were at the top already.
Not thinking that it could travel. Yeah, I mean,
like, oh my gosh,
kids are stupid.
They really are.
But I mean, so even outside of what we found on the shows, I found this one group. I forget what they were called. Soul Sisters, yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Soul Sisters, because they are really awesome
Soul Sisters.
They are really good.
So they actually investigated this property in March of 2018, and they don't have a whole lot of backstory on the place. Like,
they had what pretty much everybody else has, like what we have.
But what they did do, and I appreciated, was they put out exactly what they found evidence-wise.
Exactly.
And they put little YouTube clips up. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I'm going to share the 3 EVPs that they got. So an EVP, for those that don't know, electronic voice phenomenon. It's basically when you take a voice recorder and you just hit record, you start talking, and what you hear in the white noise behind it is supposed to be
with the actual spirit.
The spirit coming through to you. And we reference a lot of these kind of like quote-unquote technological things. Like we were talking about Spirit Box earlier. Yeah. If you guys ever have any questions,
please let us know. I mean, we do our best at explaining it, obviously, but
feel free to Google it.
Yeah.
Email us. Reach out to us on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get you where you need to go.
If you don't feel like researching it, we'll research it for you.
Yeah. But so the 3 EVPs that they caught, and the thing about EVPs is they're classified like by different levels. Like there's a Class A, a Class B, a Class C, and it depends on how clear it is and whether it's an intelligent answer.
Right.
Like you can catch an EVP that's just a loop.
Yeah.
Like you can say, "Is there anybody here with me?"
Yeah.
And you just hear some ghost spirit, cheeseburger.
Yeah.
That's not a intelligent answer.
They're like the Patrick Star from SpongeBob of entities.
Yes. Whereas like a good Class A is,
it's gonna explain shit to you, try and give you its name, give you information.
Something. It responds to something that you have said.
Let you know it's about to kill you.
Yeah. It turns into a serial killer, and then we have to cover it on the podcast.
Let us know.
But so the 3 that they found, at least that they put up, they may have had others, But a lot of times groups like this don't put out those lower level EVPs because it's also hard to decipher too.
Right, absolutely.
So the first one that they had, they went in to the ballroom and they played a music clip.
Which, if you guys don't remember, the ballroom is where the satanic cult used to practice.
Yeah, that big ass thing on the second or third floor.
Yeah.
It still blows my mind that it was on an upper level. Anyway, so they played a music clip that they downloaded earlier, and it was just a short little 30-second clip of the waltz.
Yeah.
Something. And after the clip had played, one of the investigators asked, did anybody like the music? And they got back an intelligent response. And all they heard was the word no. So apparently the waltz wasn't popular back in the 1800s.
It wasn't bumping. It wasn't a banger.
Yeah. It wasn't that fire.
No.
So during their investigation, they captured another one, and this one was in the barn.
Okay.
And they set up their recorder in the barn. Now, keep in mind, they're called the Soul Sisters. Mm-hmm. There is no man on their team. It's a group of women.
Yeah. I think
Girl
there's
power.
5 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
They set up a recorder in the barn, and they went into the house and did their thing. So what they got was a male's voice saying, "Here he is."
Okay.
There wasn't a question, so there's not like a reference as to what they're talking about. But I mean, you could speculate. I mean, you know that the ranch hands went out there and took the bounty hunter, brought him back. Maybe it's one of the ranch hands coming in saying, "Here he is.
Like,
here's the bounty hunter.
I made this.
Yeah, I brought him. What are we doing with him?" And then the third one, which they kind of classified as the best EVP they've ever received.
Okay.
Because it is a very intelligent response to what they're saying, and it kind of confirms a couple things.
Okay.
So they set a recorder up upstairs, and they went downstairs, and what happened was they heard a voice come through, and they said, they hear to talk to us.
Okay.
Now, earlier in the evening, they had been asking, is anybody here? Would somebody like to communicate? So it's a delayed response, but it's still an intelligent response.
Okay.
Because they were asking, would somebody speak to us?
Right, yeah.
But what is even crazier is it's confirming multiple spirits.
Right. Which
Talk
could
to
very
us.
well be the slaves.
The slaves. It could be
there.
Georgie and the little girl, or anybody.
The farmhands.
Yeah,
like passed there.
It confirms the presence of multiple spirits. Yeah, they used a pluralized version of a word. Getting all technical.
Yeah.
But yeah, it blows my mind when you can get shit like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wild. That actually just gave me chills.
Now, in the beginning, we did say there, if you do some research on the place, you're going to find some stories.
That can definitely be debunked.
Now, in one of the shows we watch, not going to name names, but it's a certain douchebag by the name of Bilbo. On his episode, he referenced that Prospect Place in 1912 there was a train accident.
4 miles away.
I saw 6, so yeah. That it was so bad that they turned the basement of Prospect Place into a emergency hospital, so to speak. And that some of the spirits that still lurk in the house are people that passed away from the train wreck.
Right.
But everything that I found online, I found newspaper clips.
Right.
I verified the newspaper with a second source. That didn't happen.
Right.
There was no makeshift hospital.
The train accident did happen. It did in fact happen.
The train wreck of 1912 in...
It was December, I think.
I want to say Darsden, yeah.
Darsden.
The train wreck of 1912 in Darsden, Ohio. So, that didn't happen. So if you guys come across that, you know that you can skip past it.
So, that's like really all that we have to say about Prospect Place, because if we keep going, this is going to be like a 3-hour episode, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, guys, there's stories upon stories upon stories. We're here to bring you like the quick hit guide to it and kind of explain like what we found interesting in the place. But like I said in the beginning, you guys can count on every Sunday we're going to be bringing you a new paranormal type of episode for at least for now.
Yeah.
We're going to keep the trend.
And Wednesdays will be the serial killer and backstory of them and what the hell they did.
So I mean, you'll see that this episode obviously is going to be a little longer because
we had to give a brief introduction.
Yeah, we talked about ourselves a little bit, and to be honest, we're still kind of feeling it out, guys. Bear with me.
Our information won't be as jumbled eventually.
We're still going to keep the same flow. It's still going to be conversational. I want you guys to be able to sit back, relax, and like kick your feet up, have a drink if you drink, have some coffee, tea, water, whatever you want to fucking do during this hour or so. I want you to be able to listen to us and just feel like you're
one of us
in the conversation.
Like you're just hanging out with a few people that are your friends, and that's it.
So like Babe brought up that on Wednesdays we'll be doing serial killers. So if you like this episode, make sure to stop back middle of this week because we'll be bringing another episode with a serial killer. This time we pulled up a good one. I don't know if we want to let him in on it yet or keep it a secret until Wednesday.
I don't know. I feel like we should keep it a secret for now.
Okay.
But like we had said earlier in the episode, if you guys have any paranormal experiences that you guys have had, or if something has happened like where you live, or if there's a serial killer that you guys are super interested in, just email us, get us on Facebook. Like I said, the link tree will be in the description, and just get a hold of us and we'll make time for it, for sure.
Just don't message us asking us about advice on how to become a serial killer.
Yes, please don't do that.
I can't help you.
Because then I might have to turn you into the cops or something, and I wouldn't want to do that because then it's one less listen for us. I don't think they're going to let you listen to Spotify in jail.
I don't know. They get cell phones and shit nowadays.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
True.
They got jailhouse TikToks.
For one credit at the commissary, you can listen to The Beard and the Babe every Sunday and Wednesday.
Coming at you live.
From the jail cell.
On the spot reporting. There you go.
Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was, of course, our first one, and I had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, so. I had a blast. I mean, anytime I can kick back and just bullshit with you.
Yeah.
Have some drinks.
Yeah.
Maybe do some painting in some other episodes, you know.
Yeah.
Get some things rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Keep an eye out, because, like I said, we'll be doing some painting in some episodes, too, which you'll see some of our mighty fine artwork posted on our
Facebook,
on our
Instagram,
socials.
Yeah. But that's all I got.
Well, until next time, my spooky listeners.
See you later, freaks.